All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Biblical Hitmen live again on YouTube, and got an awesome guest joining me on this live, Ben Baumgarten. He's the host of End of the World News podcast. We'll get to him in just a moment, but folks, if it's your first time or you're returning, you want to support the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like the show, do all the cool things that are free, and support the show on audio platforms, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can consume your podcast content. That's where the show is. So find me and leave a review. It's very nice. But Ben, brother, man, welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you for having me on your show again today. It's always a pleasure to come and talk about the craziness of life with you. So thank you very much, sir. And shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to Neff Hunter. We
Yeah.
were talking in the green room, man, and you gave him some props. So
Yeah. Shout out Neff Hunter.
Yeah, shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that likes to tune in, listen to us, entertain us as we're going through some of these topics, man. I titled this 4chan prediction, Psyop engineers. There's a Gnostic agenda in the midst of it, and we'll probably get into some World War III talk. There was a missile apparently that almost hit the Dome of the Rock, and so I've got a video clip of that. I got a bunch of video clips we're going to share on this show. Professor Jiang. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but I do.
I do.
Yeah.
You pronounce his name CCP agent.
I was waiting for that one, man. I was waiting for that one, dude. I can't wait to get into it, man. We're going to play some clips with him. Are you familiar with like the 4chan prediction stuff?
Oh, no, I'm not. What is that?
It's a thing. So who put it out is Red Panda Koala. Shout out to him. He's on X. He's a pretty good. He's kind of like I see him as like an X journalist. Like there's these people on X that get into these circles and they report a lot of the information. He does an awesome job with that. But he reposted it, and then Raven from NDS reposted it. Shout out to NDS. But how about this, man? Real quick, but before we get into that stuff, because it's going to entertain the whole show. Where can the folks support you and check out your content?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at End of the World News. That's where I do like 3-minute videos that I upload. I also do a weekly podcast with my co-host Cindy that you can catch on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. If you go to YouTube, it's End of the Worlds, add an S to that news, all one word, or you can just go to the link in my Instagram bio, and that will take you right there. So that's where you can find me.
Cool, man. Yeah, man. You got an awesome show, man, and you talk about the things that need to be brought up, and I think we're obviously at war, right? Like you talk about this on your show. We've mentioned. I mean, we're Christians, like podcasters, right? So we see the world in a little bit of a different lens than the general public. So I appreciate you, man. We're bringing the perspective, we're bringing the truth into a lot of these matters. Real quick, what's your before we get into the 4chan stuff, let's talk about this Professor Jiang CCP agent, right? What are your thoughts with him?
Well, I think he's a Trojan horse for Gnosticism, which I think is the ultimate spiritual agenda. When you couple that with the one world technocracy government that they're trying to usher in, which is, I think is Mystery Babylon. So what Professor Jiang does is he gives you a lot of truth, and everybody's, oh, that's awesome. He's speaking truth to power. Look, he's all over Tucker Carlson now. Sneeko, who was tied to the Red Pill movement, he's being platformed like crazy. The algorithm is pushing him. But what's he had a Trojan horse for? Well, he's a Gnosticist. He is, by his own words, he says, people think I'm a Luciferian and I can't understand why, which is Gnosticism. And that's the antithesis of the Bible. That is the spiritual component of the agenda. So that's what I think about him. And he doesn't talk about certain things, right?
Right. Now, do you know anything about his like education? I think he went to Yale, right? Or am I mistaken?
No, man, he went to Yale. He had run-ins with like the CCP where he got caught for being a spy or something, and then they released him and they deported him back to Canada. And he was actually a pro-Zionist. There's all these old articles about him supporting Israel and the geopolitical agenda. And then all of a sudden, like clockwork, he comes out as Professor Jiang, and he's not even a professor. He's like a high school teacher.
with a really expensive whiteboard, right? Like, have you ever
Yeah.
seen that thing? You know, my radar went off on this guy, I'd say 3 months ago or so, 2 months ago, you know, because his stuff just kind of got popular out of nowhere. And it started popping up on my YouTube feed. And the topics were very catchy, you know, Illuminati, secret bloodlines, the banking system, on and on. And so he lures you in with these things. But ultimately, it's like you said, you know, he is pushing a Gnostic agenda, and he is a Gnostic himself, but he plays stupid. Well, we'll play the clip here in just a second. Um, and I think ultimately what a lot of these agents are doing, and they could be ignorant of being an agent. They're still kind of, you know, misled or ignorantly running an assignment, right? Uh, but I don't think he's ignorant. I don't think a lot of them are ignorant. I think they're definitely in on this mystery religion, and they're playing that role to adapt to the conspiracy theorist circles and adapt to this hidden information, right? And they're exposing it now, kind of work as if they're workers of light. So I'll play this clip. This is the guy, and this is him kind of talking about what people are claiming against him, and what he actually does believe.
I have issues with the Islamic faith, okay? My major issue is that, you know, I got a lot of hate for my lecture, okay? But I believe that religion, organized religion, it changes over time. So maybe in the beginning, it had certain ideas, but in order to accommodate empire, in order to accommodate politics, it shifted over time to become much more conformist, but become much more static. I don't like that. My sympathies are toward connection with God directly, right? So rather have an intermediary telling you what God thinks, well, you should be able to feel God in your heart.
Rather than have an intermediary, right? Which we know that, like, Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, and he is like the bridge to that, to the separation between us and God, right? So again, I just wanted to point that out there. He is speaking against that idea, and he's more or less, he's going to get to talking about that it's inside of you, right? It's kind of like what the serpent said to Eve about, you know, you could be like gods, in this divine spark. So I'll play it out.
And I mean, like, people have said I'm a Gnostic, you know, or I mean Luciferian. You know, I don't know what these terms mean, okay? But I believe that we're all individuals with the divine spark in us, and so we should be all able to connect directly to God. We should all be able to exercise our imagination, our intuition.
Oh man.
I know, it's crazy. But the thing is, where he gets you is that he says some truths that you're like, all right, I'm feeling this guy. Because, hey, some of the stuff I didn't disagree with. I'm not necessarily for, you know, man-made religion. A lot of these institutions who claim to be the sole representative of the Bible and the truth within it, I think are actually ran by these ancient bloodlines for whatever purposes they have. But where does he slide the real lie into? Oh, the divine spark. Oh, Gnosticism. So, and if you know what the end goal is, which is this mystery Babylon religion, I think the reason he exposes all this stuff is because at some point they're going to blame this holy war on the God of the Bible. They're going to say, hey, look what the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims did to the world. It's the God of the Bible's fault. Then cue in Mystery Babylon, cue in, you know, the quote unquote aliens coming back and the worshiping of these aliens. I really think that's what it is.
Yeah, there's another clip here I want to play. Again, I don't know how staged this clip is, because it may appear that way. I didn't catch the whole context of this this video because it's in a podcast. But I'll run it. We'll play it. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me pull this up. Have you seen this clip?
No, I have not. Let's play it.
Yeah.
Oh, I did actually. Let's play it again though, so I get him.
Okay,
Tell us about game theory.
Yeah. So here's my grand plan. Okay, my plan eventually is start my own religion, and so I'm using this YouTube platform in order to test certain ideas that I will need for this new religion, and that's why I switch around a lot. So you know, if you're a fan of certain topic, you can get annoyed because then, like, like next semester I'll teach something completely different.
Mhm.
But again, my goal is to be the Messiah. My goal is to start my own religion at this point. So I'm going through the R&D phase of my life right now.
Yeah, this is you can do travel to Gnostic India as you could have like a Japanese brother, whatever the fuck they say Christ did, Gnostic with the internet now.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
no. I mean, like I will eventually go to these places, but like at this point, I'm just trying to innovate with the framework, and then eventually I'll go and spread my message like Paul did. I'll travel like Paul, the apostle.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All I
Yeah.
could go on.
Yeah, no, what are your thoughts on that? What do you
Well, you know what I think when he talks about a new religion and I'm the Messiah, immediately what I thought of all the cults that have, popped up throughout history. And when you start diving into them, there's always intelligence or a hidden hand that are kind of pushing these things from Jamestown. I mean, you name it. And to me, that just shows that he is connected to some type of intelligence. This is some type of psychological warfare against us. And it's important to be prayed up and protected by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, man. He compared himself to like being Paul. Now, if you dig into his, all of his videos, you'll see that he makes videos teaching you about Gnosticism, which he says was pretty much like the original, the very first religion, right? And I've made these claims that I believe that Gnosticism, that whole idea of a feminine aspect of God that is superior, like a matriarch, that it started in the garden. And I think its nature comes from the serpent, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You could make these connections, um and he's saying that he wants to push the ideas of Gnosticism through his platform, and in videos he'll make a lot of videos discrediting Paul, and bashing Paul, and having this kind of Da Vinci style conspiracy theory wrapped around Paul. And it fits what the Gnostics talk about, because I've heard the Gnostics talk about that they believe Paul had a direct connection with the demiurge, which is blasphemy, in my opinion. Like, I believe in this stuff. I don't believe in this stuff whatsoever. Like I'm trying to expose this mystery religion that will try and counterfeit the truth as it comes,
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's the hardest thing for me as someone who does believe in Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, who does believe in our Messiah, Jesus, the Son of God, right? There's that divinity within him. I mean, what he's actually preaching is the antithesis of our beliefs, the opposite of our beliefs. He literally is teaching that the God of the Bible is Satan.
Right.
I can't get my
You're
head out of
right.
that.
I know. And it makes sense now why Bledsoe is pushing this idea that they're fabricating the end times. And you hear Professor Jiang saying the same thing. That's a common ground between these people, and they probably don't know each other. Maybe they do. I don't know, right? Like, maybe they're linked up in this circle of just of misinformation and disinformation and mystery cult agents. And I think people are eating this stuff up because they're saying a lot of truth.
Yeah.
Like he talks about a lot of truth. Some of the things he's mentioned are even in like the 4chan stuff. I'll pull that up now. And I'll just kind of read through it. I wanted to get your take on some of this because it's pretty it's pretty interesting. Shout out to everybody in the chat. What's up, Mark? Dunt? Good Dunt in the chat. Yeah, Luke. What's up? Good to see everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day. Chris, if I missed anybody, good to see you. Appreciate you. So this is kind of what was put out. Again, it's a 4chan thing. It's could be fake, could be real. I don't really know.
So when was this put out?
I think last year, June 22nd, 2025.
Well, we do know from the Epstein files that at some point that network got control of 4chan.
What did?
I believe that in the Epstein files, there's some weird connections between that Zio cartel that he was representing and 4chan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's some connection there. And then when you understand that that's kind of where, QAnon started from, which I think is 100% an intelligence operation.
Right.
You don't know. I mean, like you said, it could be another intelligence operation right through there.
Yeah. Yeah. This stuff doesn't all have to be compartmentalized like in the same area. It could be like broken up into multiple different things. So it says Israel. So this is in like a bullet form for anyone that's listening. And it's got like probably 30 predictions here, and it's in chronological order. And it says Israel breaks ceasefire and strikes Iran. Trump responds with B-2 bunker busters on nuclear sites. Iran hits all Gulf oil fields and U.S. bases, blocks Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb, which we know those are like the trade routes for oil and stuff. And gas prices have been going up. I mean, what's it like where you're at? It's got to be nuts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say on average, it's around $5 to $6. In some parts of LA, I've even seen it at 8 to 9. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
dude. Now I know because I've looked at trying to getting a firefighter job over there in California like long time ago, and the salaries were like higher, but it has to be that way because the living and gas and food, all of that is all a lot higher than here in Florida and all that stuff. But so far, like everything kind of seems to be everything that's been said has been done, and it gets even weirder. It says oil prices skyrocket, blackouts in Africa and third world. What was it? Is Cuba struggling right now to sustain their power? Oh man.
You know what this reminds me of? This
Wow.
reminds me of the Albert Pike predicting the 3 wars. There's like a lot of people who've researched that said that's a counterfeit, but whoever wrote it and counterfeited it knew exactly what was going on. So I don't take anything away from that.
Right. Yeah, they always come in and say, oh, it's forgery. It's forgery.
Yeah.
I get it, but who wrote it? And why is it spot on?
Because it's all a script.
It's a script, yeah.
I really believe that with all my heart. And that's why it's hard to like watch social media discuss what's going on with the Israel-America-Iran war, because they still view the world as good guy, bad guy, that false paradigm, instead of what I think is the true biblical view, which is the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Bloodlines controlling certain regions of the globe. Sometimes they work together, sometimes they don't, but ultimately they all serve the greater agenda. And I think they're just pushing this false good versus bad paradigm because that helps them manufacture this prophecy that they want to do that.
Yeah, and I think it helps the Gnostic agenda too, because it starts to turn people to a false light. For example, like Sophia, like they're going to the views of this are going to change drastically. And I think through the theosophical movement, right, where all religions come together as one, think of it as like all of these religions are returning home to mother, and I think that the Catholic Church is probably a staple of that in a religious form. But I think Mystery Babylon is going to try and introduce something new, but will pull everything back in, almost like a reverse Reformation period, where everything goes right back to like the Catholic Church or in a counterfeit of something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I think 100%, at least within the Christian factions, as far as ushering them into Mystery Babylon. Because right now you see a rise
like the NAR movement.
Yeah. You see a rise of Catholicism as Zionism is kind of exiting the stage. And you have the Pope talking about baptizing Martians. He's got fallen angel, symbology on the dresses that he wears. And I really see this happening. I was joking kind of, but like I see the major push when the aliens come back or the fallen gods come back. Because then get ready for worship and, wonders and signs, or even the elect shall be deceived, right? If that's possible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Like it may look like an Avengers movie,
yeah,
with a similar play out.
yeah.
So it says here, U.S. sends 3 aircraft carriers, at least 2 sunk by Iran, Russia and China using suicide tactics. U.S. tries amphibious invasion, first fails with massive casualties. I know there's been some talk, right, like about boots on the ground. Even Professor Jiang has been talking about it. And I think maybe he mentioned this on Tucker Carlson, which I think Tucker Carlson is one of the people in that agent circle. But mentioning if we were to go boots on the ground, it would cause like a draft, and if there was going to be a draft, then it would cause like a civil war, and then this is where you have like the destabilization of the country from within. So I don't know, maybe.
Well, I think what we're watching right now, though, is the manufactured isolation of the country Israel. Because did you see when Bibi Netanyahu came out and dissed Jesus and said that he needed Genghis Khan? and
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying is, a lot of people in the mainstream alternative media, they just react to get you to react instead of asking questions. And the first question I asked was, well, if Netanyahu needs the support of the American people, why would he go out and then diss Jesus to the most loyal evangelicals and Zionists ever? It makes zero sense unless your goal was to isolate your country, have the nations turn on them, which is an interpretation of prophecy. That's the only reason why he would do that. And see, to me, when you know the outcome, it's easy to make sense of what you see coming from these people.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the video of Netanyahu mentioning what it is you're talking about. And he says Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan, and he was referring to, I think, a book, right, that he read by someone or something, that he exalted this person, to be some sort of high intelligence. Like, and it's a little ridiculous. This definitely has stirred the pot.
Oh, big time.
Huge.
And people are getting pissed, and rightfully so. I know I've come on here and I think he's all part of it, but why else would he say that? I mean,
Right.
if you just want to take it from a surface level, this man needs the support of the American people. He needs American boots and missiles. There's no doubt about that. Why would he go and insult these people? I know, I almost wonder if this only lasts for like 3 or 4 more weeks, just enough time to destroy the Dome of the Rock. And then that's when the real isolation of Israel starts, because they start building that thing up. Tucker already exposed what they're trying to do through, we talked about Shabbat Lubitsch, the building of this temple. I mean, I think how isolated, Israel will be if the war stops and they start building that third temple, which is part of the plan.
Right. Oh man, dude. Hey, we got Neff Hunter in the chat.
All
What's
right,
up,
Neff
brother,
Hunter.
man? Shout out, man. What up, bro? Sexuals. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for the super chat. Much love, man. Much love. Man, it's always a fun crowd hanging out with us.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. So again, we're only like a third of the way through all this stuff, and it gets meatier as we keep going. It says second attempt succeeds, oil fields seize, advance halts, U.S. Civil War begins, anti-war bloc takes D.C. with military support, U.S. splits into 2 and retreats from Middle East. Turkey betrays NATO, joins Russia, Iran, China alliance, attack, and then these attack Israel. And this is kind of like,
okay, that's important, the whole Turkey part, and go on.
Yeah, no, well, tell me. Tell me more.
So everybody's familiar with Ezekiel 38 and 39, the war of Gog and Magog. And in that passage, depending on what version you read, there's something about Rosh, right? when he's calling out all the bloodlines who are going to turn on Israel. And through the 80s, from what I learned from Dr. Heiser, is that was weaponized as a geopolitical tool during the Cold War to get us to not like Russia. But if you actually look at the bloodlines that they call out in the beginning of that chapter, like the Prince of Tubek and Tubol, I think I'm blanking on that. Well, anyways, what they're really talking about is in modern day Turkey. So the modern day Turkey, supposedly according to the Bible, is the one that's going to, at least within interpretation of it, is going to lead the charge. So I think it's interesting that it says that Turkey went over to Russia and then turned on the people.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm studying that area, you know, ancient Turkey areas where Göbekli Tepe are located. You know, there's Koran Tepe, and there's a bunch of other old sites that are out there. And what that Anatolia period, that area of like Indo-European, right in the middle of Europe and Turkey, you know, they worshipped the goddess as a matriarch, as like a monotheistic, not really monotheistic. I think its roots were more monotheistic, but you know, they exalt the mother of the gods there. It's wild, man. It's fascinating stuff. And yeah, dude, you know, when we start to see these nations surround Israel, it's on.
Yeah.
It's on, dude. Like, it's not good, man. So then it says here, China invades Taiwan and Guam. We know that that is high possibility of happening. North Korea invades South. Japan fails to stop it. India possibly flips sides. Russia invades Poland and Baltics. Links to Kaliningrad. Sounds like Russian. Finland and NATO invade Russia, take St. Petersburg. Europe collapses into riots, famines, and civil wars, which that makes me think of like when the birth pains start, right? You know,
Yeah.
nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, all this wild stuff starts getting played out. Then it says Latin America allies with China and Russia. U.S. invades from the south. Advance stops at Colorado. Wait, what?
Wait,
What are they saying? Like Colorado? Hopefully there's a different Colorado. But you know, I do think that it's possible that war could come here. I know there's in the administration they've talked about like the Golden Dome, right? Like which makes me think of ISIS, by the way, because that's what the Golden Dome on the Capitol building, for example, like is meant to mean. We saw that too on like Epstein's temple, right?
Yeah, I think that, not to self-fear anything, but I think there's definitely a possibility of boots on the ground, or that the war comes to America, because they need to replace America. I mean, we're already watching a controlled demolition of the West from within, and they're trying to weaken it. And then I think they're gonna, you know, lay the hammer on us somehow. And believe it or not, when you start looking up, and not to scare people, but when you start looking up how, you know, a quarter of the population dies, and then as it goes on, a third of the population dies in the various stages of judgment upon the earth, you know, is America even mentioned? I mean, how far along down Revelations is America even around? Because we do know it's centered around Israel and the countries around them. I wonder what happens to us.
Right, dude. I know, man. It's wild stuff, dude.
Yeah.
All right, where am I at here? So Europe collapses into riots, famines, and civil wars. Latin America allies with China and Russia. U.S. invades from the south. Advance stops at Colorado. All right, here we are. This is where we left off. 50 to 150 tactical nukes used high in atmosphere. Operation Fishbowl, right? But probably in a very more sinister way. Who knows? Tsar bomb and 2 strategic nukes used in Europe. Israel destroyed. Palestinians wiped with it. Air travel ends. Crime and chaos everywhere. 3 weeks of nuclear events. Fake alien invasion begins.
Enter the Antichrist, right?
Here we are, man. This is it, dude. This is it, man. This is This is everything is downrange for me at this point. Like, you've got to get into the compound and you've got to get into the circle to not be downrange, man. That's so wild, but people are fueling this idea.
Well,
It's
they
been
don't know
talked
where
about
this
for a
came
while.
from. They don't know who posted this. This is all.
It's anonymous. You can see it in the top right corner. It's anonymous, right? And dude, they've made movies with this idea. Because when we keep going, it says fake alien invasion begins. MJ12 releases synthetic alien soldiers. But this gets into like the hybrid programs. This gets into what could be these breakaway civilizations that they talk about. This could be where maybe they're experimenting and creating Nephilim. This makes me think of Russ Dizdar and this like satanic elite military force that goes out and does what's called the Black Awakening. Because when he compares that to like one of the horses of the apocalypse, which is pieces removed from the earth and there's like death everywhere,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's really interesting. So in Daniel 2, I think we discussed it on the roundtable a little bit last time. It talks about the 4 empires, and then the final empire to rule over is the iron mixed with clay, right? And some believe that's the Holy Roman Empire. Some believe that's this new transhumanist agenda that they're trying to push through. And I actually went back to the Greek and the Hebrew to see what it means when it comes to the marrying of these families. And the actual Hebrew, I haven't seen the Greek yet. I don't know if Tim sent me the Greek, but it's talking about the mingling of human seed and a non-human seed. So this idea that the hybrid program, they're going to usher it back in. It kind of makes sense.
And MJ12, this is what, Majestic 12, right? Is this what this goes back to?
Majestic 12, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't dug into the subject really much, but it could be played as this underground government that has alien technology, and they've reverse engineered it, and they're able to perform this, release of synthetic alien soldiers, for example. I've even heard, what's her name? She went on Joe Rogan's show a very long time ago and brought up Operation Paperclip. I think her name's Annie Jacobson or something like that. But she talks about that she got information from an ex-CIA guy on his deathbed that talked about the crash in Roswell was actually a Russian reverse engineered, probably, technology that was transporting surgically altered individuals that appeared to look alien, so I'm just kind of like connecting that into this idea of that if this was discussed about something that happened in the 40s, we're in 2026, this could line up with something. Yo, shout out to 6G, bro. What's up, dude?
6G.
Much love, man. Much love.
I do have a question for you with the, the crashing of the UFOs, because, you just mentioned that could have been Russian technology. There's also ideas that it was Nazi technology, reverse engineered. Do you think that it was fallen angel craft, or do you think this was man's attempt to rebuild, or, the fallen angel technology?
I think that an idea of reverse engineering technology is by going into the astral realm and receiving information and then coming here and creating it. Or it could be the other idea where, yeah, they found these things, maybe through Operation Paperclip, when these scientists branched off into the United States and Russia. They got information about Antarctica. They got information about maybe locations where they were hiding some of these things, or maybe where they retrieved these things. Who knows exactly? Like, there was a flood that happened. The world before it, I think was very interesting. And with a flood and death and destruction, these things can get buried up, and over time they could be found, right? It's kind of like when you look at Indiana Jones. There was probably people like that, and we know that the Nazis were like that. The Vril Society that they had was searching for the Philosopher's Stone, and who knows, maybe the alien technology can serve as a purpose and mimic the same outcome that they want to have with the Philosopher's Stone. So it's interesting stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like where I balance myself between those two ideas.
Yeah, because I mean, if you want to take the official story, right, or maybe the unofficial official story, that it was an alien crash that came down here, I always was curious, like, well, if they're true, and these things are Elohim, they're rebellious Elohim, but they're extremely smart. And I always wondered, could their craft really crash like that? Like, do they not have the technology not to crash on Earth? So is it human reinverse technology, or are they kind of giving us a gift? I don't know. Or should
Yeah.
I say
And
given?
that's where, like, in the UFO community, they'll split the terms up and they'll say UFO is the technology, but UAP is the phenomenon, where it's like the NHI, it's the orbs, it's the disembodied phenomenon that I think are celestial, and they dwell in these heavenly places. And, I think that when fallen angels, they decide to come down here, I think their laws that they have to obey change. They've left their first estate, they've left their dwelling place. And when they come here, it's coming into another dimension. And with this dimension, you got to obey a certain set of physics. Now, what I think is coming with this Gnostic agenda is they do want to merge the two. They want to merge metaphysics and physics. I think this is what the Tower of Babel served as. I think it was a gateway to the gods, and they wanted to reach heaven or pull heaven down to here. And who knows? Like, I think that that's where technology is migrating us to. I think we're being walked into a whole Tower of Babel moment with this alien invasion, whatever. There's going to be a narrative that's justified through it all. And I think that with what comes with the narrative comes a storyline where you're going to have good versus evil. But that's where I think Satan's coming to, he's trying to flip that. He's trying to look like the good guy and blame the God of the Bible as the bad guy, the adversary,
Yeah, have you noticed? I mean, because I would say CERN is kind of like Babel number 2. And the reason why, the ancient people right after the flood got into a lot of trouble was they all spoke the same language. And God had to separate them. And then think about with this whole modern, explosion of technology, it all kind of started when people were able to speak again. When there was no real barrier amongst the language, and scientists could get together, whether that's on phone or the internet or whatever. I think us all speaking the same language is when we really get into trouble.
Yeah, dude. CERN, I think, is trying to do that. I think they're trying to, I think it's a metaphysical practice, what they're trying to do through the subphysical, things that we can't see. And, CERN could definitely serve a purpose to bring in something metaphysical into this world. When the bottomless pit is opened up, dude, I think that that's another dimension, another area, where it's leaving that estate and coming into ours. And these scientists, these Kabbalists that are behind CERN and running this stuff, they're not ethical. They want to do these things. They don't care the limits that they have to press,
Yeah. Do they ever ask, should we do these things? No, let's just like,
yeah.
hey, there's another dimension full of demons. Let's open it up and let them come on in.
Yeah, bro.
Oh man, it's wild.
It is. So we've got synthetic aliens running around, dude, downrange, right? Like turning corners hot, popping them with 308s,
Mhm.
right? Mars attacks, head explodes. App, 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 app. Man. It says PLFs hunt survivors. PLFs are the synthetic alien soldiers.
Okay.
FEMA camps classify people as useful or undesirables. Probably that, like, what does Yuval Harari say? It's like a useless class.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
What
what's
the
it called?
heck?
Called us. Henry Kissinger called us useless eaters.
Useless eaters, dude. You
Yeah,
know?
that guy was running foreign
Wow.
policy for our country for how many years? And he considered the general population useless eaters.
Golly, it's so wild, man.
Yeah,
That's like the revelation of the method, you know?
yeah.
It's a part of it.
And
Yeah.
I will never understand fully the revelation of the method. Um, whether that's part of, you know, the manifestation process, speaking it into existence. I don't know if they're showing us these things because they feel they're, you know, going to get off the hook for karma purposes. I think if you read, you know, the revelations, you know how this ends, and these people are judged according to the things that they do. But what do you think the purpose of the revelation of the method is? Because I'm still trying to figure that out by exposing themselves before they do it.
Yeah, and I think the serpent did it. I think when he beguiled Eve, you know, and said, "Surely you shall not die, and you'll be like gods." It was like saying the truth in front of her, but wanted you to have a different perspective of it. And I think that's kind of like what revelation of the method is for me. When they put these things in front of you, they're telling you what it is that they want to accomplish, do, and finish. But we don't, it doesn't register to us like that. Our perception of it from the adversary's point of view is not there. There's ignorance there that kind of comes into play. Which is why I like shows, you know, out there like you guys that I have you guys on, because you guys are pointing out this stuff, and it's waking people up to people to just for people to evaluate things differently. You know, when you see something that's on TV, on a channel, from a program, its purpose is to like send downloads, but we're discerning the downloads now, and we're actually like, dude, these downloads are actually like fulfilling, you know. So like we've seen like what we're getting into right here. There's a movie called Extinction where it's about an alien invasion, and when the guy reveals one of these aliens, takes the helmet off of one of these aliens, it's actually human. It's actually a person.
Really?
And it's a government pushed agenda to try and lower population and eliminate you know, that, to bring in that destruction period to save the world, right?
So in this movie, there's an alien invasion, but it's really government officials dressing up like aliens to lower the population.
It's not government officials, but it's military. It's
Okay.
like military that has been deployed through these, like, I mean, there's a light show, and there's UFOs, you know, unidentified things in the sky, and then there's ground troops of aliens that are coming into nations all around the world and exterminating everybody. It's wild, man. And Russ Dizdar talks about this as like his perspective of this is that it's satanically driven, and that these people cannot wait to come out of the woodworks and to do this. That it's a part of their religion to do this. That it's a part of Satan's wrath on the Christians. So it's interesting, man. It's weird. And if this does happen, a part of this invasion, what if there is like a new world order of Gnosticism and religion, and the whole world is fornicating with it, and the whole world is okay with getting rid of the adversaries that are opposing this truth that they believe in?
Oh yeah. I mean, just look at, I mean, and I could see humans doing that for sure. I mean, just look at, where was it? Sodom and Gomorrah, I believe, where the aliens came. Was it Sodom and Gomorrah? And they actually brought their daughters out there to go have sex with the aliens and stuff, or the fallen angels. What was that? Was that
Gosh.
Babylon? No, it was Babylon, right? That God destroyed.
Oh destroy the
Lot,
tower.
yeah, or when Lot came out, I believe.
Hmm.
But dude, this is nuts.
Yeah, I want to pull up a picture here. I want to pull up a picture here of the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, this is what I was thinking real quick.
Yeah.
Because I always try to go to the Bible after I learn conspiracies to see how everything can, they can roll things out within the biblical narrative. So there is that one part where they're given the keys to the abyss, it opens, and these fallen angels are released back onto the earth for a period of 5 months, led by Abaddon the Destroyer. They can torment humanity, but they can't kill them. I wonder if that is this alien invasion.
That's an interesting point too, dude, because that
Yeah.
could be like this, right? This is the movie here, and you see see the alien looking suit. That's a facade, and it's a person underneath. It's a human. Maybe a synthetic human. I don't know. From what the 4chan stuff says. Dude, what do you think about the 4chan stuff though? So far since we've gone through it.
I think I agree with a lot of it that this could possibly happen. But once again, it's like, where does this stuff come from? Who was the initial poster that uploaded this onto 4chan? Do they have ties to intelligence? I mean, to me, this is like post QAnon, right? That this came out.
Yeah, I think so. No, yeah, this is post. Yes.
Post QAnon. I wonder if this is, one of the anons that put this out. But I think it's just more predictive programming. I mean, think about it. We're reading this. We're like, yes, this is exactly what's going on. This is exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And I actually thought about this real quick. We think because we have social media and a voice that we can now set the agenda of what we want to talk about. But I still believe that intelligence has their fingers all over it. Because at the very top, these influencers are connected to the intelligence organizations. They talk about specific subjects. We then repost it. People then repost it, and they're still setting the agenda. So this, in a way, is them still setting the agenda, and we're discussing it.
Right, man.
I mean, who knows what this is?
I know. We're actually almost finished with all of this. It's crazy. So it says by 2027, 5 billion dead. 5. Wow.
Georgia Guidestones.
I know. I went and saw those things in real life, dude.
Was there a weird energy around those things?
Yeah, it felt like I was looking up to something very ancient. And here's the thing. I looked at it with a Christian perspective. The Holy Spirit was doing backflips inside of me. And I was there with friends, and my friends viewed it in a completely different way. They viewed it in like a civil way. Like it doesn't sound too bad. And I'm like, oh man. So again, that's where I think the world's going to eat up this Luciferian doctrine that comes out of World War III.
I'm not trying to poke at your friends, but do they not realize to get to this objective of this utopian society that like 5 billion people have to die first? Hey, doesn't sound too bad. You just got to kill about 5 or 6 billion people to get there.
Yeah. And the chances of you being one of those is pretty high.
Yeah.
Oh man. It says here, fake aliens defeated with help of real ones. Okay. One world government under MJ12 and the UN. This makes me think of like the Raelian cult, right? Where these aliens come back and
did you say fake aliens
defeated with the help of real ones?
That reminds
probably
me
the
of
good ones, right?
Yeah, well, that reminds me, not that I'm pushing what's his name, Tim Alberino. I don't really trust that guy, but he has always said that there might send the Greys back, and the Greys are scaring everybody. And then the fallen angels, to deceive us, will say, we got it. We're going to take out the Greys. We, stop this existential crisis towards the earth, and now we're your gods.
Yeah, and as if they're all on the same team. It's just a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Way to corral people into the objective, right?
Well, just like the rulers of this world followed the Hegelian dialect, I'm sure the demons who inspire them do that as well.
It says one world government under MJ12 and the UN. Dome of the Rock destroyed, script complete. And so I think with a lot of this war, yes, they've deemed it a holy war, but I think it could be mostly about the building of the third temple. And a lot of these IDF military personnel, when they're out, in their uniform, there's a third temple patch on their uniform. And so they're driven and motivated to that this is a part of this whole process. And dude, I mean, we'll pull it up, but a missile apparently hit around the vicinity, the outside of the Dome of the Rock.
Oh, and also that one guy, Professor Jiang or whatever his name is that we were talking about earlier. I saw a video claiming that he was making that they have actually rigged a bunch of explosives underneath the Dome of the Rock. At least the IDF has in the Israeli government, and that's what's really going to blow it up. Which we've been talking about the entire time, right? But why does Professor Jiang get to go on Tucker Carlson? It's not that I'd ever go on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, it's because he's a Gnostic.
Yeah,
I think so. That's like the all clearance pass to get on extremely big platforms. So let me see here. I'll add it to the stage here. I need to get like a touchpad and like a Elgato Stream Deck with buttons, and I can just fly through this thing.
Yeah. Now it does take some time getting used to the software, but I do like it a lot. It's made my podcast way easier to record.
Oh yeah, dude. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it full screen? Okay, cool. It's so this is now there's like a intercept system right around this area. And so some people have said that this missile was intercepted and it was deflected, and this is the area where it hit. Some people are saying like its primary targeted location was the Dome of the Rock, but it got deflected, right? So I don't know the whole story about it. I think this is being pushed as propaganda to get people, conditions to something happening to the Temple Mount and the Dome of the Rock. I'm going to play this real quick. It's only a 6-second clip. Golly, imagine just driving down the highway.
Yeah.
You're just chilling, you're going to work, and then what? Bam!
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of, though? I mean, as much crap as I talk about America and the control system, we are still very lucky, and thank God for that we're not in the middle of the agenda right now. And we get some, resemblance of peace, the time to spend with their families and to be happy. Because one thing about war is that people, not the leaders on both sides, people are sent through the meat grinder. And I think there's a lot of innocent people on both sides. And this is truly a shame watching this happen.
It is, man. I feel bad. And I even think the area, the location of where they claim to be the tomb of Jesus, that's been locked down. People can't go into it. And there's always been things that have like happened around this area, even around that location. There's like these trash can looking things. They're not a trash can, but what they're made of like steel, and they're meant to actually, if there's a bomb or something, or if there's like some sort of explosive that someone's threatening with or something, like you're to throw it in these bomb trash cans, So again, like that's just letting you know how rough of an area this can be because of, religion and beliefs and all of that kind of stuff. So who knows? It may be if something happens to that location, that'd be kind of insane.
Oh yeah, I have a question for you though. How much of the news that we're getting do you think is real? Because for the life of me, I still, if someone to say, "Hey Ben, 100%, what do you think like the casualties on both sides are like, or the damage on both sides are like?" And to tell you the truth, I can't tell you
I know. I don't
with
know
a
either.
straight face because there's so much AI videos. Which is part of the Psyop as well. You don't know if you're coming or going. They just want to muddy up the waters. I have no clue what's really going on there right now.
I know. And with the power of AI, the capabilities of AI, I really don't think we're going to be able to discern much longer what is real or not. Even just the Netanyahu thing that we brought up on the last Continental Roundtable, that is still being entertained, and I don't know really what's going on. So therefore I care less about it.
Yeah. Or
Maybe
even,
that's a purpose of this.
I think so. Even with the last video, when he came out and dissed Jesus for Genghis Khan, there were internet sleuths that started breaking that down that video. And there was something off about his sleeve and his jacket.
Wow. So I think there is a demoralization campaign
Yeah.
behind this stuff where people will not trust it. They might just like listen to other sources, podcasts, whatever, avenues of information they want to listen down. But it could just get people uncomfortable with seeing this kind of news on and on and on. And it's constantly, discredited. It's credited, then it's discredited, and then that it's just demoralize people from having the ability to assess what is true.
Yeah. And it can be used for multiple agendas. And whether it's real or not, like I always think about that with high impact events. Whether it's real or not, it doesn't really matter. It's how is it being used? Because that's the objective. And with this, AI Netanyahu, I can see how it's being used on both sides to create more division on something that we cannot prove. And we're fighting with each other instead of really paying attention to what's going on, whether or not it's AI or not.
Right, man. Right. I mean, what I do think is the truest stuff that we could like follow is like podcast clips or people talking. Obviously, the context of things are important to grab if you're going to make an opinion about something. But I'm seeing that as some sort of propaganda or used as propaganda. You could use that kind of information whatever way you want. But even that's what's happening. I'm seeing that a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just saw this video about people claiming a huge victory because a hypersonic missile made it all the way through the Iron Dome and blew up the Israeli nuclear facility. And I was like, whoa, the videos look real. There's some, missile coming down. And then when you start researching it, there's no proof that it hit a nuclear facility. I couldn't find anything about that. So we really don't know if we're coming or going during this war. Maybe that's all part of the plan.
Right. I wanted to pull this clip up here of Professor Jiang.
Your new Messiah, the new Messiah. Okay, that's the goal. I want to be the new Messiah.
Like real quick with that clip that we played earlier, dude. I mean, that wasn't staged. I don't know, but that was kind of. Why is he revealing that about himself?
I wonder, like revelation of the method. I guess it would have to fall under that category, right?
Yeah. yeah.
You start talking about a new religion and a new church. First thing I thought was, well, intelligence, agencies, they start a lot of cults too. So,
right. Shout out to everybody in the chat, John.
Yeah.
War Priestess, Christopher. What's up, brother? Thanks for the super chat, man. On the last live I did. Appreciate you. Ultra, Cindy. What's up, everybody? Good to see you. If I didn't get to you, Brian Tucker. What's up, man? Yeah, got an awesome crowd. This is an interesting video. What did I say this video is about? Let me pull this up. So it says terrifying revelation. Israel is secretly excavating under the Al-Aqsa Mosque. I think I said that right. That's the Dome of the Rock, to conduct a controlled demolition They plan to blame it on an Iranian missile to ignite a massive holy war and build their third temple. So,
Yeah.
The basic components are, one is the creation of the nation state of Israel, which happened in 1948. And then you need to have the building of the third temple, which requires the destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is actually, which could happen during this war, given what we've seen so far. So the Israelis have closed off the Al-Aqsa Mosque, as well as other religious sites like the Church of Holy Sepulchre, to tourists these past few days. There's rumors that for the past 2 years, the Israelis have been conducting these archaeological digs under the Al-Aqsa Mosque to basically destroy the foundations of the mosque, so that they can conduct a controlled demolition of the mosque and blame it on a missile strike from the Iranians. And there's actually talk among the Israelis of using this plan to ignite a war between the Arabs and the Persians. So the Al-Aqsa Mosque needs to be destroyed for the third temple. They also talk about this war of Gog and Magog between Israel and the entire world. Then the coming of the Jewish Messiah, the creation of the Greater Israel Project, the return of all Jews from the diaspora. So there are different components to this plan. If you just observe geopolitical events, we're seeing these events.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that can play out just as he said.
Oh, I don't disagree with him at all. We've been talking about that on your show.
Like, I still think he's an
time.
agent, but I think he's revelation of the method here.
I also think the timing matters too, because they really started talking about this. Maybe Jiang a little bit before, but at least Tucker Carlson, when he made the videos with the Shabbat rabbis talking about that stuff, he waited for the war to start, right? Before the CIA was like, all right, you can go ahead and talk about this stuff. And imagine being someone who doesn't necessarily support Israel, or even someone who supports Israel, and you follow Tucker Carlson, and he drops the bomb that there's crazy factions within the Israeli government through Shabbat, who are trying to literally usher in the end of days by manufacturing this third temple right as this war is picking up. And if they actually do that, and American, sends boots on the ground and more people die for Israel, at least the public, perception of Israel is going to sever even more from what they wanted, which is, this turning on Israel. So I think, like I said, I wonder how long this particular battle between Israel and Iran will go on for. I think it will definitely go on long enough to destroy the mosque. And then when they start building that third temple, even if that's in a time of peace or kind of peace, that's when the nation state is going to really become isolated.
This is shout out 6G, man. He DM'd me this. And it says exclusive. Who is Professor Jiang? Who does he work for? And it kind of says here in the description, it says, wow, who is Professor Jiang? It appears he may be wrongin. Very informative that, I saw this tweet. It says, read the whole thing, the NED, the USAID, Israel connections. Here's the conclusion so you know where this is going. Based on the above information, including Jiang's history of involvement in regime change activities, as well as his relationship with Israel, we seem able to raise this question. Did Jiang actually predict the outbreak of the Iran war, or was he expressing a regime change plan that the deep state had been brewing in the form of prophecy?
Yeah,
man. Appreciate you sending that, man. It's not going to get better from here, right? Like, I don't think this is going to slow down at all. I think the world's different, man. I think 2020 was something serious happened, and it's not going back to what we want it to go back to.
Yeah, there's no putting the toothpaste back into the tube. They showed us their cards. Agenda, game on. Now, how does that look? That's why we have these conspiracy podcasts to talk about this stuff, to try to break it down. But yeah, I don't see us going back. Now's the time. We just got to start praying and get ready for that spiritual battle of sharing the gospel with everybody. Because at some point, they're going to come for us in America. They haven't yet, but at some point they will. And we really need to be able to abide in God, abide in the spirit while all this stuff happens, because it's going to get nuts. It's truly a crooked generation that's going to magnify or intensify.
Yeah. I wanted to play a Bledsoe clip here. We'll let it run, but this fits into like the Gnostic agenda that's kind of coming through this. What do you think? Do you think that Professor Jiang, like, people are going to catch on to his foundation?
I think there's a small sect on X that calls balls and strikes. Now, people might call them black-pilled, but they are internet sleuths. They dig into the backgrounds of each one of these people. So within a certain segment of the population, like us, we're talking about this stuff. Yeah, I think he's going to be exposed. But as far as the mainstream of the alternative media, no. I think people are so, and I've noticed this with the stuff that I post. People are so involved with their tribe that it does not matter how much evidence you present to them that their tribe is actually part of the agenda too. They will not accept it. So if you hear what you want to hear coming out of Professor Jiang's mouth, you are not going to look into him. I think that's the general public right now.
Yeah, no, it's great points, man. So yeah, this is on the Basement, which is the Y Files podcast. And I think this guy right here is another one of these people, but I think he's not. He could be like CIA. I don't know, dude. Right? Everyone could be CIA. You're CIA. You're CIA. You're FBI, man. Back up. No, but it's like the things he covers on his show, again, are I tie a lot of similarities to him and Professor Jiang. Like they say a lot of things in the conspiratorial realm that are true, but they're also, I feel they've got to be in on this mystery religion, this Gnosticism, because I'm seeing the trend of who comes in and out of these shows. And it's like they go and they do rounds like it's a tour. And so he has Bledsoe on. He's had the people that support the Templars and that are pushing this agenda. Again, this is like the route I think these kind of podcasts are taking. They want to push this kind of information because they believe it themselves.
Oh yeah.
That you were shown Hathor's temple. I don't know if you know this, but she's the goddess of maternity and motherhood.
Right.
And according to ancient Egypt, she is the sky. She came before everything.
And Sophia.
Yes, which I think is in Greek is wisdom.
Yeah.
And Hathor's depicted as a cow in ancient Egypt. And whenever she's depicted as a human, she always has horns.
Well, she told me that because I asked who she was, and she said she had many names. That she was called Hathor in Egypt, and that resonated with me because the first thing they showed me was Egypt, right?
Right.
And I saw the faces of Hathor carved in the temples, and it's like cow ears and stuff.
Yes.
And so immediately that resonated. But she said she had many names in many countries, many cultures, from Diana to Demeter to Hera to the white buffalo calf lady in the American Southwest.
American Southwest, Hinduism, Buddhism, Lakshmi. Could it be Mary? Could it be?
Well, I suppose it could be, but in my research, I know that the word spirit, the definition of a spirit, nobody really understands that, but it's the wind, right? And the word Holy Spirit is the breath of God. Well, that most impactful thing to me was not only seeing and hearing, but the wind that pushed me over. The cow running over, I saw it, but the wind physically, it frightened me. It hit me so hard, you know what I mean? So here's this force that came at me only to reveal itself as the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. So,
I mean, that's
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. What I've found out about this description of what he's saying, the wind, the wind follows the lady like the owl does, like the vulture does, the phoenix, the moon, the mountains, the sacred stones, the lions at her feet, the crown on her head. There's these things that are all connected through the multiple iconographies of different cultures and stuff. And, I think that the Bible shows you some of these characteristics of the lady. And God's been at war with the lady, dude, since like the beginning.
Oh,
When some people even say that, there was like a war that happened before kind of creation between, God and the Leviathan, Rahab.
the gap theory.
Yeah, this could play into the gap theory, but I mean, I don't really like to involve it with the story because I just don't like to connect the two together. Maybe they do go together. I don't know. But this is like where in Genesis you see that there's, it was void, darkness, the deep, all of this stuff. It goes back to, even the Babylonians kind of talked about this, the war between Marduk and Tiamat. And Tiamat was like, a feminine goddess serpent dragon thing, right? So as a female, but I think that God shows you through Jeremiah, Second Kings, all these areas where God was like telling the people to destroy the Asherah poles and to burn them, right? To stop worshiping them. I think it's a big part of Satan's kingdoms is to have his kingdoms worship the mother of gods of some sort. This was talked about as Rhea to the Greeks or Cybele to the Phrygians. And I think it's represented in Revelation 17, right? Like when this mystery Babylon comes together, there is a woman on the beast, and you could see here that Bledsoe's calling this force or spirit Holy Spirit. And I think it could even come back to humanity like the light bearer, like the savior, to combat the demiurge,
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I mean, in Jeremiah it says I believe it's Jeremiah, to your point, where he calls out people making cakes for the Queen of Heaven.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be doing that.
Right.
And what's really interesting is when this guy Bledsoe goes on all these different podcasts and he preaches Gnostic gospel and he starts talking about how, he met Sophia or wisdom or whatever Hathor name he gave him. I mean, that's literally a fallen angel that he's talking about. That's what it is. It's in direct conflict with the God of the Bible. And there's never any pushback, right?
Mhm.
At all. Or not even that you have to push back, but why doesn't any of these guys go, well, it's interesting. These Egyptian goddess that you saw, it is interesting that these gods were in direct rebellion of the God of the Bible, but you're never going to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And so he mentioned like the wind. Now I've had an interaction with the lady, but it wasn't a good one. And it was ever since I started digging into this research and talking about it on my show where I was attacked by the lady in my sleep. And my wife was a witness. She saw me, going through it in like a dream state. And the lady was on the other side of the room from me. And it was like this dark room with just a spotlight on her and me. And she kind of resembled the figure in the movie The Ring, just a very pasty white looking lady with just black hair in front of her face. And when I knew exactly who I was up against in that dream state, right? Because I put it all together, or maybe
So
God
during
kind of
it,
confirmed that with me. Yeah, during it, I was like, this is the lady. This is who I'm exposing, researching, and trying to tell people about that's coming, right? To be worshipped, I think. And I think the Antichrist worships the lady. I think we can see that in Daniel chapter 11, verse 38. It says he honors the God of forces. And the God of forces is the God of fortification. Ishtar was the god of fortification. You know, Rhea, Kibeli, all of these feminine spirits were always in the fortified walls that protected these empires and these cities. And I think that that's where she might play a role in with Mystery Babylon. But in the dream, when I locked in and I knew exactly who I was up against, like I identified it in my thoughts, a blast of wind just shot from her, and it was shooting at me, and it was like blowing her hair back, but was also coming forward at me. It was kind of weird, and I could see her face, man, and it just looked like a demon, dude. This could be a demon. This could be a high-ranking fallen angel that is not locked up in the pit, right? That's not locked up in hell. Who knows, man? This could be an evil. I mean, not could be. It is an evil spirit that's trying to personify themselves as something that's good, motherly, love. And when I read in Zechariah is like being showed this vision by an angel, and the angel's telling Zechariah to look inside the ephod, and the ephod is like this like canister thing or whatever, and he lifts the talent off of the ephod, and he looks inside, and he says that I see two females with wind at their wings, and the angel interprets this for Zechariah because he doesn't know what he's looking at. And he says that this is wickedness. And he says that these are on the way to a land in Shinar. And what was built and established in Shinar was in the Great Plains was Babylon, was where you can kind of get the first maybe of this mythology of divine wisdom, this divine feminine goddess, and the role that she played with protection, while her presence was in the walls, right? And yeah, so it's interesting, man. I think there's a lot to all of this, especially in Daniel, when it says that the Antichrist honors the god of forces.
Yeah.
And right after that, he's honoring her with precious stones and metals and jewels and all of this stuff, which in Revelation 17, the mother of all harlots is decked out in all of these precious stones and all of this kind of stuff.
So what's her relationship with, like, I guess you would say Satan?
Could be Satan. It could be Lucifer. Who knows?
So Satan's going to come back as a tranny angel to hit us with that divine feminine energy. I mean, I say that jokingly, but I don't deny that.
Yeah, because there has to be a balance that comes with unification, and that's kind of what I do wrap up the Luciferian doctrine in, is that it's unity and balance. And if they're going to come and balance civilization and mankind, then they've got to merge the energies of male and female. And really, when you look at the Jewish star, which I think is the star of Remphan, it represents a few things out of the symbol. Triangle up and a triangle down, when you merge them together, that's male and female energies. Also, it represents the philosopher's stone, right? Like when you mix air, water, earth, and fire, you get the fifth element, which when you put those four elements together, it makes the star. I think it's an ancient symbol, man.
Oh yeah.
That represents, and if those two things are represented in Revelation and play a role with the Antichrist, I think the world will be led down the road to Shambhala, which is like this mystical Atlantis of a place. And when Lucifer comes and does all of this, right, this plan, I think he wants to recreate something similar to like the Garden of Eden, right? And when you look at the goddess worship, she's represented as the god of fertility, agriculture, and wildlife, kind of like Mother Earth concept. So it's all weird, man. But the more I kind of put it together, I'm like, is this what's going to happen? I don't know.
It's crazy when you start looking into all that stuff. And, is he trying to recreate Eden possibly? Or is he trying also to create, the days of Noah to a certain extent, before the flood, the Atlantean Empire that ruled over us? Because I think there's a similar correlation. There were 10 kings in the Atlantis Empire. You know how many there are that give the power to the beast? 10,
Yeah.
right? So the 10 kings give the power to the beast.
And that's what Revelation 17, the mother of harlots, has, this there's 7 heads and 10 horns involved with all this, man.
There you go.
It's wild. In the New Age, right? Alice Bailey talks about this as the Maitreya. Alana Blavatsky's talked about this as well, that there's like this one last teacher that comes and is to lead humanity into this new age, into this, new age of consciousness. And when you bring in the UAP aspect of this, the divine feminine's connected to it. We can clearly see that being pushed as propaganda, but there could be actually a real thing behind it. I believe that there is a real thing behind it. I mean, he even mentioned that she's the mother, the god of the skies, right? Which I think can be maybe related biblically to the prince, the power of the air.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
dude, it's crazy.
So it's gonna be interesting because no one truly understands fully this mystery religion and how it was practiced by these empires very long time ago. So when we see it recirculate in another cycle, but in our lifetime with the culture the way it is, it could look different, but you'll see it by its fruits of where it stands,
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I think we were talking about this earlier. I think right now they're just planting the seeds, right? For all of this to, grow. And once the world is destroyed through their manufactured prophecy, and I also want to add the caveat, just because I believe this is manufactured by these principalities in the spiritual realm that manifest in this 3D reality, in no way do I not think it's ultimately part of God's divine plan. In fact, everything that's happening today is part of God's divine plan. So the question is, why is he allowing this stuff to happen? And I think, he's let him have it to see if it works.
Yeah, yeah. And like I don't personally subscribe to, Satan's little season. I saw it in the chat.
Mhm.
Shout out to that person. Is it Chinks? Chinky? But I'll tell you what, I'm not someone that fully removes something off the table if I I'm an advocate for everything that I put on the table pretty much. And I think Satan's little season is on the table for me. I just don't subscribe to it. But just in case, like I've come up with some ideas or of what it's to look like. And I think that even when Satan's like released from from being locked up and he goes out to deceive the nations again, like he would follow the same protocol, the same agenda and playbook that he did to deceive everyone before that. Right?
Yeah, you nailed it right there. And that's what because there's a lot of division between, eschatology. You have the premillennialist and the Satan short season person. And I'm also a premillennialist, but I'm open to everything. But what you realize is whether you're a premillennialist or in Satan's short season of deception, there's no denying that they're trying to manufacture prophecy. Now, for 2 different reasons, I would say they're trying to usher in the Antichrist and bring on the years of tribulations, where a Satan short season person would say, well, they're manufacturing prophecy to make it look like Jesus did not return, and that's a deception. But in both cases, you have this idea that these principalities and powers are trying to manufacture this prophecy.
Yeah. Like I think there's no doubt that there's an Antichrist figure coming. Like there's
Oh,
no doubt in my mind that that's coming. And again, I'm a big fan of like Matthew 24, Revelation chapter 6, and linking the two together and seeing that the two overlay each other well. And when we start to see these things happen, I think there's a designated timeline for them to happen. And I think that, Satan is going to have some sort of reins to be able to do what it is he wants to do before he gets locked up. And I think something that happens with all of that is there's going to be like a wrath from this Antichrist upon believers. I think that persecution is something that, at least mentally, you should be prepared for as a Christian, because it's happening to you daily with your walk, right, with Christ. Like, because we love him, that's why we're persecuted. He was persecuted before, you know, just where everything's at with Christianity and all of that. So, God, the world hated him first, and it will hate him in these times. And so if we're Christians, it's just important to be backed with the word of God, and to strengthen our faith over anything else. I think that strengthening your body and doing things with your body is very productive and important. But spiritually, these are times where we not only come together and we bond, right? This is church, right? Where two or more gather, um, and just start walking with Christ seriously.
Oh, I'm with you. And we shouldn't lose sight on the greater agenda, which is the spiritual battle. I think everything is part of that, right? So it manifests in this reality, but at its foundation, there's two opposing forces, right? God Most High, Jesus, the loyal angels, versus Satan and this fallen pantheon of gods. And they are doing battle against humanity in order to try to steal our spirits from God. I think that's ultimately what all of this is. And when you get that, then you know how to fight back. People talk about spiritual warfare. Real spiritual warfare is preaching the gospel.
Right.
Because that's the one thing that these demonic forces, and I mean, preach the gospel with love, preach the gospel with that agape love that God shows us, right? Not leading with hate, because trust me, Satan doesn't care if you lead with hate and preach the gospel, because you're actually turning people away from the message of Christ and salvation. So I think that's how we fight the agenda, right?
Yeah.
Let these reptiles reptile, right? There's nothing we can do about it, but we can partake in the real spiritual battle that's going on, and
Right
stay
on,
armored up. Stay armored up. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Dude, that was an awesome way to kind of, land us here for this episode. My wife just texted me. She's like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave to my book club." Hey, you didn't even finish the book. Where's my camera? You didn't even finish the book. She's going to a book club. That's all right. It's cool. I love my wife. But hey, brother, man, this was always a good time, man.
Yes.
And I think we crush it every single time, all of the
Yeah.
time. 60% of the time, 100% of the time, whatever, however that saying goes. But real quick, hey, Craig with the super chat, man, brother, I appreciate you, man. You're supporting the show, man. I love it. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. He says President Trump could be one of the 10 kings of Revelation. No doubt, dude.
Good
No
call.
doubt. And that's something that I thought of too when he he started this Trump alliance thing or something, right? Where you can buy yourself on the stage of it or something, or have a position into it. You
Oh,
gotta
the
donate
board, the board of peace.
Board
where
of
you could
Peace or
donate
something
$1
weird like
billion.
that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that to me was like, I was like, is that the 10 Kings thing? We'll see what happens with it, but I
Yeah.
think that's kind of faded out. But keep an eye on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Be a biblical hitman. Let's go. Hey, brother, real quick, where can the audience that's still hanging out with us support you and all that?
Yes. So once again, catch me on Instagram at End of the World News there. You can catch my YouTube. There's a link to that. If you want to go straight to my YouTube, I think Dunt just put it up. So thank you for putting that up in the chat. It's all one word, End of the World News. Or you can catch me on Spotify or iTunes. And we put about 2 shows a week. I know you're coming on my show on the 3rd, I believe, and we'll be putting that out. So yeah, I try to put out 2 shows a week. One where I hit the hard news with my co-host Cindy. We laugh and we joke. And then the other, I try to have a guest on, or I just go crazy about the influencer industrial complex.
It's something to go crazy over, man.
I'm not the crazy.
Oh man, dude, I'm excited because I think we've got a little circle of podcasts, that we're all a part of. I'm excited, for the day when we all kind of get together. NDS hosts the Bohemian Grove, and it's going to be pretty cool this year.
Have
And
they
hoping
made any more answers
yeah.
about it?
No, not yet. But I'm going over there next week to go to the coffee shop and hang out with the guys for a little bit. So yeah, because I know we've all kind of been on their show, and it'd be a cool thing if we could all kind of link up in the
Yeah.
World War III dystopian times.
I'm kind of upset that their Straight Bible podcast is no longer.
Yeah, well, I think he's
He had to take some
got.
stuff back.
No, I'm not sure exactly, but I think he's got his own YouTube channel now.
Oh, he does?
And he's got his channel and everything like that. And shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
He does some awesome work, man.
Yeah.
But shout out real quick, Chris, War Priestess, Lattice, appreciate everyone. Neff Hunter, there you are. Dunt, Chinkies, everyone in the chat that is here hanging out with us. Much love and appreciation, man. Oh snap, another one. Appreciate you, man. For Christopher, love it, man. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. He says super sticker. I'm gonna slap that on my bumper. Just kidding. No, this is always a good time, man. And I'm excited to get the round table back together. Thank you, man, for popping in last minute with me.
Hey.
You're awesome with that. And I hope we covered some decent stuff today. I thought it was a pretty good stream.
Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah. Real quick, everybody, if you want to support what it is I do, the Biblical Hitman, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like the show, share it with your friends, and you can follow the show. Check out the show on audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, wherever you can consume all of your audio content, where the show is. But this is always a good time. It's fun, and we're going to keep it going. God bless. Enjoy the day. See you next time.